you love to have mouth-watering dishes at a restaurant? Or are you too busy with your day-to-day life and like to have packed food from a supermarket on the go? There is a little bit of Knox in your life one way or the other. Knox, you must have heard about us.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Matters. I'm Sutanthu and have with me my co-host 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀. She's the co-founder of Knox Foods and has a deep understanding about economy and businesses. Before Knox, she was with BNP Paribas for more than 5 years as a funds analyst. Welcome to the show, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗀. How are you?
Thank you, Sutanthu. I'm well. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's get started. Let's take a quick look at the key points that we'll be covering today. Crude oil is currently at its lowest level in 6 months. Global oil demand and supply has a mismatch, and will reduced oil price provide relief to businesses and consumers? Oil is a very volatile commodity and its price is always fluctuating due to various internal and external factors. Looking at the last 6 months' data, we can see a lot of ups and downs, which is common, and it can be assumed a lot of gains that were received during the peak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict might have been wiped off. The highest it went during these last 6 months was around $120 a barrel, and currently it's trading in the region of $88, $89 per barrel. Prablin, what could be the trigger points for this current downward trend that we are seeing?
Sutanthu, firstly, I would like to say that I'm glad that we're looking at something like this today because it's a welcome break and something that's a bit touch more positive than everything else that's happening. So coming back to your question, if you look at the last 10 odd days, the price has dropped 10%, which is huge considering that this doesn't happen very often. I think the monthly cash rate hikes that we're seeing across the world, done by all the federal and central banks, are contributing to this because it's definitely impacting the lending and the repayment capacity by the individuals and the businesses. And then I think in general, there is this environment and there is this fear of a slowdown and recession that is approaching. Which has meant that a lot of businesses have either ceased trading or they're running into losses. So they're trying to lay off their staffs and reduce their expenditure just to help with that because they can see it's forthcoming. It's not really far in the future now.
You've pointed out a really interesting point over here. Basically, it looks like there's a massive mismatch between demand and supply, correct? Because before the recession and the fear of economic slowdown kicked in, the demand was on the higher side, whereas the supply was on the lower side due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the sanctions that were imposed on the Russian oil exports. And fast forward to today, the demand has fallen, but do you know whether the supply of oil has increased or whether it's at the same level?
Correct. So that's what's been happening in the last 6 months. Actually, there is been a massive mismatch in the demand and the supply. During the peak Ukraine-Russia crisis, the OPEC countries did come forward and say that they'll be increasing the supply, which they did, but they did it very sporadically. It wasn't a huge increase in supply. They didn't want to lose the gains that they were having. So they didn't want to lose their grip, so they kept on holding onto the supply. So it did increase, but it wasn't as drastic as we were expecting it to be. And then also, I think now we have to see that there is a slowdown in the demand. This is because of the oncoming recession, as we were just discussing, the slowdown that we're seeing in the economy that is happening. Because of that, there is a downward trend happening in the demand as well. And one thing to really hold on to is that the market's demand and supply works on speculation. If there is speculation that there is a slowdown expected, if things are going to go south, then yes, people will hold on to tight to their pockets and slow down take it nice and slow and not expand and overstretch themselves.
Makes sense. But isn't this good news for businesses and individuals, though, the drop in the crude oil prices?
Definitely. I think after we were just our team and I we were just looking at the data and we looked at it, and it seems like from October to November last year to May there is such a sharp upward trend that we were looking at. So this is a really nice respite, and we are really appreciating that. As a business, we all can agree that if we're expecting the cost of goods will go down because the freight and transport will get cheaper. Just in the short term, we can't say that we expect this to continue for a long period of time. But yes, in the short term, we think that the freight and transport costs will come down just a touch to help us with the increasing interest rates. So I always say in business, there's always that, if one thing is going down, one cost is going down, there's always something that matches up. So, you level down. So in this case, if we have the fuel prices finally coming down a little bit, we've got the interest rates going up. So any debt, any loan, and we all have those will come up. So this is definitely very, very much appreciated, the cost of fuel coming down. As we can see, it's already now around the $1.50 mark, when just a few weeks ago it was near the $2 range. That's a huge relief. And the households and
Yeah.
individuals also, I think they will be able to feel it as well, that they will have more disposable income. So whether you want to save that money, for the future, or whether you wanted that cash to spend it for other things, they will have that now. I don't know how long this will continue for. It does seem to be a short-term trend, but at least we have that now, and that's the main thing.
Wow. I never thought that there would be so many factors and outcomes that would be interlinked just with crude oil. I think in the short term, the falling crude oil price is a rejoice for both businesses and households, as you mentioned. But in the long run, with Christmas and New Year's coming in, the festive season kicking in, it is speculated that the oil prices might again go up as the oil exporting companies bank upon this festive season to increase their profit margins. Am I correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. It will definitely go up. From usually July, August to October, November, we do anticipate the prices for most things to go up. So as a business, I do expect the freight, the transport, the container cost, everything does have the peak season surcharge, the heavyweights and all of that. The heavyweights have kind of continued since COVID, but the peak season surcharge is going to start coming in. So
Yeah.
the prices are expected to go higher, 100%.
Thank you so much for your time, Prableen, and to bring in some clarity on this topic. Really appreciate your help.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel for all the latest business news. Please do share your views with us in the comment section below, and like and share this video if you liked it. See you all in the next one.